a hotel high above the CBD. Seems like the higher we go, the louder it gets. And it's about to get even louder. But before I introduce my next guest, well, there's an update from the by-elections in Kibwezi. Ben Kitili, my colleague, has just heard that, here's the latest from Kibwezi West, Kalebe Ndile has disputed the results from the by-election where incumbent Musimba is winning. Kalembe says 107 votes have been stolen from him and he will go to court again. Wow. Moving right along. He's brought his chains because he's chained himself to just about every building in the city. He's among the founders of a movement called the March 4th Movement, M4M, and they are seeking to get a referendum, that means 1 million votes, to try and change the constitution so that a president is not elected by the people, but elected by the majority in the parliament. I tell you, it's a tough climb. He says the tyranny of numbers must end and revert to what he calls the safety of numbers. Okiya Omtatah and Tony Gachoka, somebody call somebody, because this one's gonna be off the chain, literally. Any change today?
Yeah, I have my rosary.
No,
have my rosary?
Yes.
This is my chain.
Yeah, you're gonna chain yourself to this bench?
Yeah, I'm always chained to my rosary.
I hope you have a dictionary for it, because I want to speak some Queen's English.
Oh.
So let's talk about the tyranny of numbers.
I speak English.
Okay, tyranny of numbers. You're disputing that.
The introduction was wrong.
Go on.
We do not want to have an election by delegates. What we are saying is that the election for the president be devolved to the counties so that they are weighted at the county level using this formula. All counties are equal, so each county is given one vote for the county vote. Then to take care of the population differences, each constituency is given a vote. So that you'll find that a county like Nairobi, with a huge population, 17 constituencies, will have 17 points for the constituencies and 1 point for the county.
Okay, that's too complicated. That's not going to work. That's not going to work.
No, it's not complicated.
What good is that going to do?
What it's going to do is this. The so-called tyranny of numbers, first of all, is a lie, because 2, it allows mobilization at tribal level, not on a platform of policy. So that the Luya in Mogadishu, in Moyale, will be thinking about Mudavadi in Kakamega, not about what's going on in Moyale. The Kikuyu in Busia is thinking about the Kikuyus in Kiambu. The Luo in Mombasa is thinking about the Luo in Kisumu.
Yeah,
and the thing is this. We have to understand that these majority tribes, the big 5, are not living in the ancestral lands. They are living elsewhere. And the history of the world also shows that civil wars are caused by minorities who have been locked out of the structure of power.
Yeah.
So that today, the Turkana with the water they have got, the oil they have, but they don't have the numbers. And to tell me that Turkana is not a Kenyan enough to be president because he has no population.
But okay,
we want to have people elected on the basis of policy, and we must destroy tribes.
But you know what, Okiya? We are not there yet.
No.
Kenyan politics is tribal politics.
I never work for what we are. I work for what we ought to be.
That's why you're always in jail.
I work for what we ought to be. We ought to be better than what we are today.
Yeah, but okay, you know what, you're reaching for straws here.
I'm not reaching for straws. I'm reaching for the stars. And if anything, do you know that you are upside down on the globe? Because the planet is round, you know you are stuck there, you are hanging upside down. If the gravity goes, we shall fly into that space.
I have to just give an issue of English clarity.
Yeah.
The Britannica Encyclopedia defines intelligence to be the capacity to discover relationships and to deduce correlates that are relevant to the solution of a problem. The thing that he's talking about is not new. It began in 2007 when the Orange Party, of which then I was a member, tried to run the policy of 41 against 1. All the provinces of Kenya voted ODM. They thought that they were fighting a tribe called the Kikuyu Nation. So ODM came up with a policy of 40. I think I let you speak. It was 40 against 1. So they came, then there came a constitution.
Yeah.
to correct this issue.
Yeah.
This constitution, the Prime Minister Raila Odinga said he's a champion of the new constitution. In fact, he called everyone else a watermelon. And this constitution was pushed by ODM.
I voted
it was
no.
pushed by
I
many
voted
people.
no.
You
Let us-
voted
I
no.
voted-
For the
let us-
record,
let us
for the
get-
record.
Let us get out.
For the
Let
record.
us-
It's very
no.
clear.
We are Kenyans. We are not ODM. we are not
All I
PNU,
am saying,
we are
the
not
new
TNA.
constitution was overwhelmingly voted
Yeah.
by a majority of Kenyans
No, let us
across
get it.
the tribal divide. And this constitution was very clear about executive power. What it did to take care of small tribes was to create 47 county governments, which all have their governors, and a devolution structure, which is now existing. So we have a system of government where revenue is shared, even to the poorer, smaller communities.
And let's face it, the presidency has been watered down, Okiya. It's been watered
Just because
down.
we have got a stronger presidency today.
No, we don't.
You don't understand what you're talking about.
Go on. We do not have a stronger
You don't
president
understand
today.
it. Read
Come
your
on.
constitution. Today, the cabinet, in the old system, the ministers came out of parliament. They were counter checks
Yes.
to the presidency. Today,
They
the
were MPs.
Your MPs,
Yes.
the local weight, either in cost,
Correct.
could represent the cost and say the issues of the cost are these ones. In the current system, after they have been vetted by parliament, the ministers or the lenkus of this world are serving at the pleasure of the president, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta.
But let's not
So,
forget, it's
wait a minute.
meritocracy here.
There is meritocracy.
It's not
there is
appeasing regions.
Yes, but meritocracy is not a question of appeasing regions. It's a question of inclusiveness. You know, democracy is a lot of things. It's not just elections. There's inclusiveness, there's equity, there's affirmative action. We have got all these things so that we can create what we call a nation state. The Westphalian state is territory, is security, is the people. So we cannot have a state that is devoid of the people. So where are the people?
So if that's
So
my
we must-
question,
and the question
I
is
want to
a
ask
question of design. All I'm saying is, let us design a system. You have built a a self-contained house, but you have put the toilet in the living room.
That's not the
All
problem.
you are saying
Jeff,
is get the toilet into the corner where it belongs. It's a question of design.
the problem
It's
in
not a
this
question of
country,
anything.
It's a
And
question-
then when you talk of tyranny of numbers,
Yes.
I'm telling you, you are cheating. There can never be a tyranny of numbers in Kenya. The Kikuyu are only 17%. The Luo are 14%. You see, the Kalenjin are 13%. The Luo and the Kamba come in at 10%.
So why are you fighting the tyranny
So
or the
there's no,
tyranny? man?
now the thing is this: the tyranny of numbers is also a construct for rigging elections. So
Okay.
when you get the IEBC doing a projection of registrations in Western and in Central, a projection, and Western is projected that it will produce almost 75% of what Central can produce, you ask yourself, are the people in Western underage? Or are there only adults in Central? So we must look at these issues
Excuse
and
me,
understand them.
I must interrupt.
So
All
the
right.
thing is this.
I think
I
it's
see
a
your point. I see your point,
freeway.
Okiya.
What we must
No, no,
get
it's a
is
Totally
freeway.
jump in, Okiya.
No,
the
it's a
tyranny of
freeway.
numbers
Yes.
is
Excuse me.
used to convince
No,
other people that they don't have
excuse me.
enough numbers
the
to
problem-
vote and win elections.
Okay, no, Tony, go.
It's
It's
a
a simple
construct
problem here
for
we have in this
accepting-
country.
Okay, let's finish Tony.
This country has a problem of NGOs.
Yeah.
Nobody elects them. They get their money from the West. He's a member of the NGO society.
I don't run an
Let me
NGO.
be very,
I
very
don't
clear.
know, don't
I
know,
want
no.
to be, I want
I'll not
to
sit
interrupt.
here, I'll not sit
I want to
here
say, I want to be very clear.
insulted by somebody who cannot even
this
spell his
country,
name.
this country
Okay?
has got a very
Let
big
us get
problem.
right- let us get
Okay,
right.
all right. Tony,
This
Tony.
gentleman here should talk what he knows.
Now,
I don't belong to an NGO. We run a trust called Kenyans for Justice and Development.
Right.
We are 8 people. We raise 20,000 shillings every month, each one of us, giving us 160,000 shillings for operations. That's the money we use. And we have even taken on the Western world. First of all, we voted no to this constitution. In 2005, when I opposed the idea of ratifying the Rome Statute, making Kenya a member of the Rome Statute, when you ministers go to Rome and they carry girlfriends, they don't carry experts on issues, then they go and sign on documents. Look at African countries that all signed on this document without understanding.
I think for good order.
In 2005,
I think for good order.
in 2005,
My bigger point.
Yes.
My bigger
in
point.
2005,
Okay.
wait,
I
in
know I got your point.
2005, no.
Okiki.
No,
In
really.
2005, I opposed the ICC. I opposed the ICC.
Fine.
And
For
I
the
was
record.
told- and I
And
was
you wonder
told-
why he changed
I had-
himself
I
to
was
a...
told
Now,
that
what
Eastern
I am
boy is
simply
money.
saying...
Okay.
So the thing is,
All right,
we
let's-
are hypocrites in this country.
What-
Right
well,
now,
well,
we are trying to mislead the
But do you
president.
listen to
Yet
opinions
in
of
our-
anyone
in
else
our own
other than yourself?
constitution,
Yes.
In our own, it just makes sense for me to listen. In our own constitution, in Article 143,
What I'm
we
simply
say
saying,
our president
this
can be
country
arrested
cannot
and
be
taken
run
out
by NGOs,
for the
and the
question
NGOs
of
are not
some of us
elected.
opposed this constitution when we
problem
say
that we are
that
having-
provision
Yeah.
was wrong, that the president of Kenya, who is the commander in chief of the armed forces, can be open to an arrest
All I
on
am saying,
suspicion.
this country is not run by NGOs.
Go on.
Neither is it-
NGOs,
it is not
can
an
I make
NGO.
my point?
Yeah, let him make his point.
And my point is this: there has been a lot of action by what so-called civil society. The civil society cannot get into State House through the back door. If they wish to run for any office, councillor, governor, president, you go and vote and ask for people's votes and get elected. But don't allow Kenyans to elect people and then use your status as a civil society to insult and abuse them. We have a democratic way to elect leaders. When you lose, you lose. The problem in this country is when you lose, you say the courts are rigging. When the courts rule, you say they are good. When the courts rule against this, so all I am simply saying,
No,
Jeff,
the thing is
in a
this,
proper
the thing is-
discussion and in a proper democracy,
Yeah.
we must have respect for the people's choices. And the people's choices mean elections.
Yeah.
And elections mean one man, one vote.
And Okiya, you tried to run for councillor, didn't you?
Did you make
I was
it?
running
How
for
many
Senate.
people vote for
I
you?
didn't make it.
Yeah,
I
did you
didn't
make
make
it?
it.
Yeah.
I didn't make it.
Yeah.
The issues were there. I'm proud I ran. I learned a lot of about this country.
So you want to change the constitution
Today
to
you are talking about Westgate.
If the constitution.
Why are you not talking about Eastgate? There's an Eastgate happening every day in this country.
Go on.
Westgate happened only once. Why are you not talking about Eastgate?
What is Eastgate?
You even don't know it.
What is Eastgate?
How many people go hungry in this country? How many people are dying out of diseases that can be protected? There's a massacre going on. There's a genocide in this country. And corruption is driving it.
Okiya,
So
you're
we
being a little
should not-
dramatic
we
here.
should
There's
not-
no genocide happening in this country.
There's a genocide of the nature that so many people are dying in this country out of preventable causes.
No doubt about that.
So
But
we
it's-
should not talk just about
it's-
Westgate.
it's not genocidal,
We must
though.
also, whatever it is, the people are dying. We must also talk about Eastgate. Don't just talk about Westgate. Where is Eastgate in your narrative?
And where are elected leaders in your narrative? Let me make it very clear and very simple. You ran for a Senate seat and lost. Everybody, even John Githongo, who wanted to run for president, did not even get. I remember Maina Jenga leading Mungiki to Kakamega. He wanted to Kangema. When John Michuki died, he got 300 votes. He's always here with Kikuyu youth. He says he has got people. People who cannot face elections
Are we
always look for a
discussing-
way, and I want to make it very clear.
Have you ever
There
run
is
for
no
an election?
shortcut.
Have
No,
you run
I
for an
have not
election?
run for an
Then
election.
don't talk about running for
But
election.
all I'm saying
You
is,
don't know anything.
no,
You have not even run.
now, my
I
point.
have run. And I've tested it.
Okay.
And at least one more than I got more than my own vote.
Let me ask you this.
I got more than
Okiya,
my own vote.
Okiya, let me
You've never run for an election.
Okiya.
So you can't sit here and pontificate.
Yes.
You don't know anything.
Yes.
Listen to me if you want to talk about
Okay, Okiya, let me ask you this. You opposed the Rome Statute in 2005,
I
right?
opposed the Rome Statute
Should the
2005.
president head to The Hague on November 12th?
Up to now, I have a case I filed in the court. Because I don't give you the reason why I
No, don't give me
opposed.
the history. We don't
No,
have time
you
for a
must
history lesson.
understand.
Should the president go to
I
The
never
Hague?
engage in campaigns, I debate.
Okay, let's
So
debate.
debate me, don't campaign.
Should he go to The Hague?
That's not the question I'm going to answer. The thing is this. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is the president of the Republic of Kenya. Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is also an individual, a historical individual. He will not be president for perpetuity. And I think the president needs a less noise than he has to make up his mind. If I was in his shoes, which I'm not fortunately, I would proceed this way. I would have changed, I would have continued the call he's having that he should be allowed to run this country, but participate with the Rome without antagonizing it. Like whoever wrote this speech, the speech he read in Addis Ababa, I must say was an unfortunate speech writer. That was not a speech that, and I don't think that's the character of our president. That speech was out of place.
Why, was it too angry?
It was too angry, it was too harsh, it was poking fingers. He should not have done that. Let him play ball. He has made his request. Okay? Let him play ball because there's no point in antagonizing. We must realize where we are so that he does not give whoever might want to mess us up or mess him up the opportunity to do that. But he has got a valid case to say that as a president of the Republic of Kenya today, who will be receiving the intelligence briefing. He has said Gichangi should be sacked. Who will be listening to Gichangi when Uhuru is not there? You know, there are issues. The security that is called what? The National
NSA.
No, there's a council, the National Defense Council or something. He's always the head, you see. So there are major issues we need to look into, okay?
Yeah.
Let us not trivialize it, because I remember like in the campaigns they were saying we could run the government by Skype, we could do all those things.
Right.
Let's get out of that and get the real thing. And me, I would say, Uhuru Kenyatta needs prayers. He's our president. Uhuru Kenyatta needs to be given advice that's not just stamping. He understands his case better than any of us does. He has told us he's innocent. He's accused falsely. And I think if he has got this case and he can put this case together, I think the better route to travel would be to comply with the Rome Statute. But for my part, let him do that and continue. But at the bottom of my heart myself, I've been opposed to the ICC from 2005.
Right.
Some of the people are screaming today. Cole said that I had taken Moi's money to oppose the ICC. I've never met Mr. Moi. I've never interacted with him. So the thing is, and I said, you cannot have an international criminal court without an international constitutional court. Who will protect the citizens? The issues Uhuru is raising today, those are constitutional matters. They should not be going to the Security Council and the UN. They should be going to an international constitutional court to determine and say, okay, what happens in this situation? Number two, who signed away our sovereignty? Do the treaty-making powers of the executive and the parliament, the political arms, do they have powers to ratify treaties whose content or impact is unconstitutional? The ICC, to me, has no force of law in this country because the people who ratified it, Amos Wako and others, did not have the power to make us members of the ICC. What was supposed to have been done under the former constitution was to amend the constitution through a 2/3 majority in parliament to allow the Republic of Kenya to become a member of the ICC.
Okay, real quick, Tony, should we opt out of the ICC? So, out of the Rome Statute?
In my view, is that we must wait the decision of the United Nations for where the deferral has been.
What if it doesn't come before November 12th?
What I'm saying, if it comes before November 12th, the president must not go in conformity with the request of the African Union. But very quickly on the issue of elections, my brother and I will never agree on this issue because as far as I have never run for an election. But one of the reasons I voted for this new constitution is that I can be a cabinet secretary, I can be a principal secretary, I can come on Jeff Koinange live without having to run to be in parliament to become a minister. The point I'm making is that the new constitution has allowed meritocracy. It has allowed people with competencies which are not necessarily populist, but they have got brains. A professor of medicine is a better director of Kenyatta National Hospital than he's a politician. And therefore we have allowed this country opportunity for Kenyans who have done well in the diaspora abroad to enter and play their role in building this country. And I want to say this country does not belong to politicians, it belongs to every Kenyan. Now on the issue of The Hague, because you've asked this thing twice, stop asking that question. The president doesn't have a choice. He was part of a panel of African eminent leaders. And remember, the ICC itself was started by Kofi Annan, appointed by the African Union. The African Union has resolved through the heads of state that now is no longer the case.
Okay, listen guys, I'm gonna quickly switch to the by-election today because we've got more news coming in. My colleague Ben Kitili has just sent me some new information. IBC has read out the final figures of the 665 polling stations in Siaya, and this goes as follows. Cornel Rasanga of ODM, 107,737 votes. William Oduol of NAPK, 64,106 votes. No surprise there. Okay. No surprise. But for Oduol to get 64,000 in the captain's backyard, that says something.
Well, I don't think Raila was on the ballot box.
No, but when Raila speaks, especially in Siaya,
I think what we should look at is that the people of Siaya have made a choice. And this business of being captive to Raila, being captive to Uhuru, being captive to Kalonzo is the things we must destroy. The people of Siaya have had their campaign. They've elected a governor. Let them go on. Raila is a biological entity that will end one day through attrition or whatever. Uhuru is a biological entity. Omtatah is a biological entity. Can we look at things that are more permanent? I would be more interested in saying, were the elections free and fair? Okay? Was there intimidation? Was there any wrong thing doing? Were there clean elections? I wouldn't be concerned about the Raila narrative or another narrative.
No.
So because we are Kenyans, like I heard him say earlier on, that we had the right to retaliate because one group was under attack for another group. I really find it strange and painful in this country when people talk of Aluya diaspora, Akikuyu diaspora, Aluo diaspora, and I talk about Aluo diaspora in Mombasa, Akikuyu diaspora in Busia. This is just nonsense. We are Kenyans, we are individuals, we are Jeff Koinange, a citizen of Kenya with an ID card. The same to my brother here, the same to everybody. This business that we belong to some other artificial groups
Incidentally,
Okay.
can I agree with him?
Right.
Can I agree with him?
You can, Tony, but you know what?
And correct one thing.
Okay, correct
I
real
was
quick.
the only Kikuyu member of a senior member in the ODM party. I was director of protocol. I worked for Raila Odinga.
You did?
I was Charity Ngilu's campaign manager in 1997. I've worked with Eugene Wamalwa. I've worked with everybody in this country. I don't work from one. I only said a material fact. The fact about the ICC trial is that a group of people attacked an ethnic community because of ethnic hatred during elections. And those elections were being run against 41 against 1. That was the talk at the ODM rallies I attended. Everywhere we went, they kept demonizing this community. And because of that, there was an attack on this community who had a right and internal right to defend themselves.
Okay, gentlemen,
the way he changed himself, he has a right to change himself. People also have a right to defend themselves.
I wonder how he does that, but we'll talk about that after the break. Before we go to break, though, let me read a couple of tweets. Do you have his Twitter handle, Okiya? You do? What is it?
At Okiya Omtatah.
Okay. You said that very quietly, though. Okay.
I'm a very quiet man until I'm provoked by...
Nancy Okuta. Nancy says, I like Omtatah. He's kind of based on facts. Okay? Steve Moredi, call in Recce Squad, Nikubaya. I agree with Steve. On the rooftop of the Intercontinental, if you've missed the show so far, you have missed two contenders. I'm telling you, it's a wonder they haven't come to blows yet. Okiya Omtatah and Tony Gachoka going at it. Punch for punch, blow for blow. In fact, I've been asking for Recce Squad to come over. Somebody just mentioned in my ear, call Nema. Gentlemen, before we go, Tony, I'm going to read a quick SMS, okay, from Abdi Wahab Haji in Mombasa. He says, Omtatah, elections are won by numbers. That's why we go for elections. I don't know who coined this word tyranny. It's just mean politics.
You know, Jeff, one of the things that worries me about today's debate is so many Kenyans have died because of this new constitution. We promulgated a new constitution that was born out of the blood of Kenyans. People like Timothy Joya being beaten outside parliament buildings down the road. Wangari Maathai the late. So many people, Kenneth Matiba maimed. So many people died and fought at the Kamkunji, including the Lake Chishikuku, and so many others, so that this country could have a new constitution. It has been debated for 20 years, and finally it was passed overwhelmingly by the majority of Kenyans. And in their wisdom, they said that the sovereignty of this nation lies in the people, and the people will elect by popular mandate their president, who must garner 50+1, one of the highest thresholds in many constitutions worldwide. Plus, he must also get more than half the counties in terms of electoral votes. So the constitution was done properly. The Kenyan people said what they wanted in that constitution. They said they didn't want ministers in parliament. They said all the things that my brother is disagreeing with. So when you disagree with a mandate from the Kenyan people and you say you want a referendum, please have it. But like the senatorial race he ran, we are going to come out and defeat him at the referendum.
Let me ask you this, Okiya.
We are going to defeat him.
Let me ask him this. How many votes do you have so far? How many votes?
I got about 10,000 votes.
10,000 votes. You need 1 million.
Oh, are you asking me about the votes I got or the signature?
Oh, I'm sorry. No. Not for the senator. For the signature. How many signatories?
We are ranging towards 470,000 signatures.
So you're about halfway there?
You're about halfway there. Our target is 2 million signatures.
Oh, you want 2 million?
Yeah, for ourselves, because I've interacted with the IBC, and it's a pack of thugs.
They're a pack of thugs?
Even you can look at my mouth. It is part of their handwriting.
They gave you that signature right there?
Yeah, that's their thumbprint.
Yes.
So when you look at what's happening, is that the IBC is a very good institution, but it's run by pirates.
Pirates?
Who should be in jail.
Who were approved
even
by
if
the
you look
last
at
administration,
the
by the way.
I looked at, we have done something about, you know, when we had the Supreme Court case, and I looked at the affidavits they saw there. We took some of the evidence, they were put to audit, and they complete perjury. 3 people were just uttered perjury on the Supreme Court. We are thinking about to do about it.
How many cases do you have pending in courts, Okiya? How many different cases do you have?
Quite a number against me.
Isn't there a reason for this, Okiya? Isn't there a reason?
Let me tell you, with due respect to my friend,
yes,
there was a man when I was growing up in Thika called Wangoho Nganga. he must remember him. He ran in every election from 1969 and he lost in every election. But he ran in every election.
Yeah.
Now, my brother is very good at bringing matters in the public interest.
Yeah, we need an
And I must
Omtatah
say,
out there.
No, I have no problem with the matters he brings out in the
Sure.
public interest. But once you bring out the matters, they must be debated, they must become public issues, they must form public policy, and then there must be elections every 5 years. One of the reasons we have elections every 5 years is when people are unhappy with their government, they have the inherent right to change their government. And one of my problems about what you raised with him about Nyanza is not that Raila is a captain. It's because it is a historical fact that the Odinga factor has been a major factor in Nyanza politics. Now, the fact that now Nyanza is beginning to change is something to look at, and it is nothing to ignore.
Yeah.
It may also be the case that will happen in central Kenya, it may happen somewhere else. And I think these dynamic changes are important in a nation. And I think one of these days in this country, somebody will come from somewhere else and become a leader. Moi, when he came to become president of Kenya, many people said Moi was a passing cloud.
Okay, let me ask what Okiya asked earlier on. Can someone from Turkana,
Yes.
someone from Turkana,
Yes.
can they ever be president?
Yes, I believe so.
In our lifetime?
You know what we are going to need to do? For example, if I were the head of the National Alliance and I was the head, for example, of CORD or which of these big parties, ODM, whatever, I would make sure we have two giant parties in this country, like you have Republican and Democrats or Conservative and Labour, so that it doesn't matter where you come from, but you believe in ideologies and you believe in them. And I believe we people should be in big parties.
And that's exactly what M4M is standing for. That we must begin politics of issues, politics of ideas, and that will only happen when we break the tribe. And to break the tribe is to make everybody, to subsume everybody within the counties where they are, so that we can have people addressing issues, not addressing that tribe. So that if I'm in Mombasa today,
Yeah.
I have got no business knowing who is going to be a councillor of Mombasa. I have got no business knowing who is going to be an MP. All I want to say that I will vote from Mudavadi. You see, and this is the kind of narrative.
Wait a minute.
That's the kind of narrative
Yeah.
that I'm saying we
Yeah.
need to destroy to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
You think-
to be able to create politics of ideology,
Yes.
we must subsume the tribe into the state.
You think Tony can be elected in Kisumu?
He should be. Right now, we are doing very well in that side of the world. The women rep for Busia County, where I come from, is a Mkamba woman. She's called Mwikali. People did not care what she looked like.
Yes.
Did not care about her name. They just voted for her. And we have seen somebody in Meru, I think I've elected a nation.
A nation,
There's
yeah.
a Somali in Nyanza. There's all those things. So we need to begin building on that kind of push that is beginning to say that politics of issues other than politics of identity. We must begin destroying our identity and subsuming it into the state, and the county system gives us a perfect thing. And then also give you another thing, where this thing of M4M begins. It began at the Hotel Intercontinental here.
Right here.
Not as Nani says in 97, but in 2010, in June, I hosted MPs at Intercon here.
Did you chain yourself to anything?
No, I mean, I got rid of my chains. You people will still carry chains with you. Yeah, mine is with the police. So, I'm a free man. I'm a spirit. So when we came here, we met, and we had a resolution, the no group, that if we are going to support this whatever, there will be three reducibles. One, the 40% devolution money, what Ruto is pushing, the Isaac Ruto. The other one was how to elect the president. Because we looked at the structure of the cabinet, whatever, and we said there's more need for more power at the grassroots, so that a county like Lamu, with the two MPs, cannot just be ignored. You see, like the current situation whereby we have got Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, President of the Republic of Kenya, never having stepped in Western to campaign. Because he could maybe just look at one section of the country, concentrate there, get his votes and whatever. So we want to a situation whereby even Lamu with the two MPs is important enough.
But you just didn't say he never went to Western.
I mean, that's not
You
true.
just didn't say that.
He never campaigned in Western.
Could I just also add?
Uhuru never
Chief,
campaigned in
Chief.
Western.
No, could I
I'm
be
sure
very
he may be
clear?
watching this thing.
No, I know.
it's
He's
not
watching.
true.
Yeah.
As a person, maybe his people campaigned, but him as a person.
Can I
disagree?
I attended several rallies,
Yeah.
which the president had. In fact, many of them were even with Eugene Wamalwa and several other leaders in Bungoma and everywhere. We attended. The fact that the coalitions changed towards elections is a matter of politics. But also, Jeff, let me say this. The issue of saying that any Kenyan can be elected anywhere is fine. The only problem that I have, and I have said I have worked with all communities in this country, is when you come and use a policy and say, not another Kikuyu. You don't talk about the content of character. You talk about the community. And there is a hidden secret in this country.
That's
no,
nonsense.
I want to be very
to me,
clear.
that's nonsense.
I want
to
to say, but people say that.
Sure.
They do.
And they do.
Say,
And when they say
it is
that,
wrong.
it is wrong.
It's absolutely wrong.
Unacceptable.
It's
You should
unacceptable.
talk
And
about
that's
it.
why I'm saying, let us judge people as individuals.
Thank goodness you finally agree on one
What-
thing, both of you.
Yeah. But let
You're
us
in
judge
agreement with
people
this?
on-
Yes.
Let us judge people by what they are,
Yeah.
not where they come
Can
from.
Omtatah ever get elected in Central?
You know what? Not only can he ever be elected in Central, I want you to understand and remember that actually Charles Jonjo was the Attorney General that refused the debate to continue in Parliament when they tried to block President Moi from taking over, when Jomo Kenyatta had made him his vice president. Kikuyu Nation stood largely behind President Moi's presidency. And I would want to tell you the President Uhuru Kenyatta was found by President Moi, who comes from Rift Valley. Now, I want to be very clear also and say that when I worked in the ODM, the Prime Minister, Raila Odinga, at the time,
You were his chief of protocol.
I was the director of protocol. Chief of protocol is a smaller job. I was the director of protocol. But I want you to know that the problem in ODM was not about one community. He lost Musalia Mudavadi, who is a Luya. He lost Charity Ngilu, who is a Kamba. He lost Barala, who is from the coast. He lost Joseph Nyaga, who is from Embu. But the Prime Minister had a problem.
Don't forget William Ruto. William Ruto.
William Ruto, I said,
Can we
now
add value to
I am
this
only
debate?
saying, I was saying, and I wanted him to make his contribution. I'm saying if tomorrow this president makes the same problem of not working with the whole country, he will have the same fate that happened to Raila. And therefore, I am agreeing with Omtatah that if I were the president, I'll reach out even to communities that never voted for me in order that you strengthen your political base. And I don't think you should work from where you started. You should always strengthen your political base.
Omtatah, your M4M.
Yeah.
It's a movement so far, right? Would you want it to be a political party one day? Would it be? Can it be?
Well, we have got our own political party called Kenyans for Justice and Development. So I don't
How many
think,
members do you have?
we were unable to realize the 24,000 members required, registered members. We went it the right way because everybody conned. And even we have got a case in court whereby we are showing how TNA...
So you have less than 24,000.
In terms of the register, you know that the supporters and their members,
Yes.
so less than 24,000, were
Correct.
unable to raise the 24,000
Yeah.
because the law wanted you to have 1,000 in every,
Okay.
in at least 24 counties, isn't
Okay.
it?
Yes.
We were unable to hit that mark.
Correct.
So we challenged that law as being a dude law that did not really know what it was doing,
Yeah.
because we wanted even a situation whereby if I am only interested in the issues of Nairobi, I can form a party that is only interested in the local politics of Nairobi and field the county reps, field the governor. I don't participate in national politics. It's happening all over the world.
Sure.
So, but our laws are so backward. So what we are saying is that we are still pushing our cases coming up on 28th. If they are able to change that law so that we don't have to steal. You know, even people came to us and said, why are you struggling to get names? Everybody else has just lifted names. Here's the register. The program is that we pick the names, we fill in, we send them to IEBC. Those that are rejected, we replace. At the end of the day, you get your membership, you sign.
Let me ask
And you saw the pain that
Just before you answer that question,
Yeah.
I want to
Went
say,
through. Yes.
I'm a social democrat.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe that the rich take care of the poor. The employed take care of the unemployed. And solidarity is an important thing, and justice for all. In order to bring issue-based politics in Kenya, in order to change the politics of the day, I would ask my brother to dissolve his small party and enter a bigger party and fight within that bigger party to become the leader therein, and therefore be able to sell his public policy in a better way. This country must move from small parties to big parties, and that is why we have now a Political Parties Act, in order to allow that to happen.
Now,
So
the
I'm inviting
the
us...
Political Parties Act is a piece of stupid legislation that cannot stand. It's against the Constitution. People should be free to organize. When you talk of big parties, you are going into the trap of big tribes. Look at the big parties. That tribal contraption.
But you're the one who said yourself, Omtatah, that there is no tribe with a majority.
No, I'm talking about the big parties. I'm talking about the big five. There are big five tribes. We don't have an absolute majority.
Correct.
But we have got large minorities.
Yes.
The Kikuyu are a large minority. The Luo
Luhya,
and so forth.
Yes.
So if you look at all these parties, they've got an arrangement that if you look at the alliances, you had the big five and the top five. You had got the president, the deputy, you had the former prime minister, you had the former vice president, you had Wetangula representing who?
The big five.
Where are the 37?
Okay. That's not going to change. That's not going to change.
No, but the thing is this.
Yeah.
Because we keep on discussing who we are, not who we ought to be.
Right.
And that's why I've been asking you that this debate should not discuss who we are. If we want to add value to this debate, let us discuss who we ought to be. Like me, I don't believe in the so-called liberation, whatever. I want emancipation. How are we going to make the people in Muranga rich? How How are you going to make the people in Kwale rich?
So if this
how are you going to emancipate Kenyans from the yoke of poverty? Because our main problem is poverty. Let us put some money in people's pockets.
Sounds like
an important point, but Kenya is not an island. Look, Barack Obama won the Latino vote. The Latino vote made the difference for Obama to win the presidency.
That's a
because
block.
The Republicans were not they voted as a block. Even in the most advanced democracies.
How do Americans vote?
I am saying, even in the most advanced democracies in the world, they look at some issues. The Latino vote or the immigrant vote is a big vote in America that is going to change the politics in America. Today, Barack Obama was talking about the shutdown of government. And what he talked about were three things. Not just the shutdown of government, but the immigration bill. Because he understands that if you don't deal with immigration in America, you cannot win an election. Now, I'm agreeing with my brother that these ideas are good to have them. But you cannot fight the ANC in South Africa because the ANC is a huge party. But you can fight within the ANC to become its leader. And that is what I would love to see.
But Tony, you can also chip away at the ANC. You can chip away. One day, the ANC will be defeated.
What you are saying, Tony,
I am saying.
One day in time.
I would like that.
How many political parties are there in America?
What I am saying,
how many political
two major political
parties?
parties.
There are two that win. There are
Correct.
two that win the
Correct.
elections. America's got more than 40 political parties.
Yeah, but those don't matter.
But they do mobilize at the ground.
Those don't
and
matter.
They raise issues that are important in the local politics.
Those don't matter, but at the same time,
At the end of the day, so the thing is,
Yes.
and what is good about the American system, that American talk, Obama would not be a president today if there were a tyranny of numbers in America. He's a president today because the American system is a system the M4M is proposing. A system whereby you vote according to counties. You count the votes locally. People can go in a county and address the issues in the county. So that if Muigai Kenyatta comes to Busia, he will not come to Busia and tell us that, we must vote as Nyumba. He'll come to Busia and say, kindly, when I become the president of Busia, this borderline here, we will do this. Do you know that the only prehistoric paintings in Kenya are in Busia?
But
They are not developed. The only prehistoric, the next are in Namibia.
My
Do you know that?
brother,
The thing is,
Mr. Koinange, would you agree that Obama is saying would have been elected?
Yes.
But he can't govern. You see, you
There
can
you
be
go.
elected and not govern.
What do you mean he can't govern?
They've shut down his
The
government.
government has shut down.
down
The
the
reason,
government
and the
17
reason
I
is
know.
no, I am making the
The
point
thing I want
that
to do is,
the
we're not
popular
Americans.
Yes.
Me, what I want us to discuss
Yes.
is how can we improve the lot of the ordinary Mwananchi in this country? People are suffering. When I was campaigning, Jeff, I went to a place. There were a family of 5 were eating ugali with salt water as sauce. Okay?
Yeah.
There's absolute poverty in this country. Let us not discuss State House. Let us not discuss Westgate. Let us discuss Eastgate. These people come attacking Westgate, come from Eastgate. Let us drain the swamp. Let us stop killing every snake and mosquito that hatches in that swamp. Let us drain the swamp. Let us deal with emancipation. Let us empower people.
He's saying the right thing,
he's saying,
but he can't get elected.
But I have a friend of mine. He was called Baba Nairobi. He's called Waitito. Yeah, he was called Waitito. Babayao.
Yes.
Okay. And he talked all these things.
Yes.
But he went to the people and they elected Kidero.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you something. This is the issue about democracy. I'm not saying he doesn't raise important public issues. I'm not saying he doesn't develop public policy and many others. But after you do all that, Jeff, you know what? You must let the people decide.
Okay.
And there is no shortcut to democracy.
Speaking of people deciding, Matungulu by-election, final numbers. Stephen Mulay, incumbent, 11,639. Thomas Musau, 8,951. Moffat Mwiya, 5,965. That's Matungulu. Kalembendile, we know, is going back to court.
Yes. And you know what I'm saying? This is the issue. The issue is this, and this is one of the reasons I like the courts. The Kenyan courts are fighting for their independence. They are under attack the same way the presidency is under attack. This country is having a problem with all major institutions. There is a problem with intelligence. There is a problem with CASA. There is a problem with institutions. And the reason, Jeff, is simple. You need to give a mandate to a government, a social contract with a responsibility and a checklist. That's why parties have manifestos. You give them 5 years to give you their promises. If they don't, you elect another government. What I am simply saying is once elections are done, you need to stop politicking forever and ever and ever and allow the government an opportunity to discharge the mandate given by the people of Kenya. The problem I'm having with the NGO or political activist sector in Kenya is they're not giving this government the time and the mandate that they were given to discharge or fail. in their duties in giving leadership to Kenya. And therefore, they must be given a chance and an opportunity, and then face the ballot 5 years from now and be told whether they won or they lost the trust of the people of Kenya.
I think one thing we have to do, if I may take the cue from, is that the new government that there is, the Jubilee government, has taken over from a government that overborrowed and over-liquidated the country. So there's need for capital accumulation. There's need to rebuild the base in this country. And so I would rather we begin engaging and discussing how are we going to make it possible for Kenya to move forward economically. And I think it will not just be a question of stopping politics or whatever. When there's nothing being proposed by the government, people will come and politic in the empty space. So it's upon the government now to begin setting the arts. You see, like one realistic thing they did when they saw that the laptop thing was not being to be supported by the budget. I like the way they've beaten the bullet and said, we have cancelled this tender, maybe they'll look at it again. Yeah. So what we need to do is that, to be frank, and the thing is this, we have got 5 years with Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. The question we have to decide as Kenyans is, do we want to lose the 5 years because you don't like Uhuru Kenyatta, because you didn't vote for Uhuru Kenyatta, or are we going to make use of the 5 years because Uhuru Kenyatta, like him or you don't like him, is the president of Kenya, and so we can make use of him. Those of us who are in court, we can say, well, God gave us a lemon. Let us make a lemonade out of Uhuru Kenyatta.
Okay.
Those who are in Jubilee can say God gave them an orange. Let them make the orange juice. At the end of the day, Kenya is richer. We create new wealth, and the country moves forward.
I see you like lemon juice, don't you? Let's use the rest of the show to talk about some tweets, okay? Okay.
Yes.
Ndo Osiyo, he says, I don't want my country to be like America. I want it to be like Kenya, Mr. Omtatah. Okay?
When you are using American planes, you are using American everything, you are American everywhere. This is the kind of nonsense you cannot stop entertaining. You see, if you want to develop, you imitate whom you want to be like. I want to be like Jeff.
Yeah.
I imitate you.
Yeah. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery.
Yeah, the only thing we can do now is to imitate the developer.
Okay. Lemmy Mugiz, the gentlemen are raising extremely imperative issues. If I was making a cocktail, I would blend the two, but more of Tony.
Jeff,
yeah. Kenya Daily Mail, you say these people who come attacking Westgate come from Eastgate. A point you made. Omtatah has a point though, drain the swamp. But that's just a theory.
Now, Jeff, I want to say this. These comments that you're getting from Kenya are wonderful.
Yeah.
It means that Kenyans are engaged.
They're speaking their minds.
No, they are speaking their minds and they understand the issues.
Yes.
And when they understand the issues, they also have something called a vote. Now, after you understand an issue, you then translate it to registering to be a voter. Then you go to the vote and you elect a leader.
Don't just talk on
then
Twitter.
Then you allow the leader to do his job. And if he doesn't, you elect a better leader. What I am saying, Africa is growing well. Kenya is now 50 years old this Jubilee. Kenya came from 1963 to where we are. Look at the landscape and the skyscrapers we have in this country. We have a lot of rot. Yes, we have some mistakes. Yes, we have a lot of poverty. But do you know what? We have poverty. Can we raise the issue of poverty? And I want to address it. The only way you deal with poverty is to create wealth and jobs.
Okay.
You cannot remove it by just speaking.
Omtatah.
And therefore,
no. The skyline may look beautiful, but the fact of the matter is, the state of Lagos, the GDP. Is about $74 billion US.
Correct.
The GDP of Kenya is about $34 billion.
Yeah, very low.
So we are very poor.
And South Africa is 400.
Yeah.
10 times
so
us.
We must begin looking at this. If Lagos alone is richer than Kenya, okay? Let us begin thinking. Let us begin working.
So let us chain ourselves together. Jeff, let us chain ourselves together behind the elected government for the next remainder of its term. Let him and I dig and work together. Instead of criticizing that government, let us add to the public debate so that public debate allows the public to be informed so we get a better government.
Maybe you should.
The U.S. government contract says if the people are unhappy with your government, you have a right to take back your government.
Maybe you too should run as a ticket.
Oh, never in your dreams. Because he was a small party, I want a big party. He wants to call me Tony Gachoka, elected leader. I don't want to be. I want to be a meritocracy guy. I want to do an interview with Jeff Koinange because you know what? I talk like the man on the 6 o'clock news. But maybe I'm not good at standing up and throwing stones at Kawangware to get elected. Sometimes, Jeff, you gotta run away and know when you're beaten. A coward of the county.
Yeah,
you gotta walk away.
Yeah.
When you're beaten.
Yes.
When you gotta say, sometimes you gotta fight when you're a man. Sometimes you gotta run away. In the art of war, they say what? If you are of equal power, you offer battle. If the guy is stronger than you, you flee from him. And if you're stronger than him, you crush him. And I am saying to the president, right now you've got the power and the mandate. You must crush your enemies and govern. No, Kalia Kitty, sawa, and become the president.
I don't think the president has got enemies. The president has got no enemies.
Kalia Kitty, sawa.
The important thing is Kalia Kitty. Afanye kazi sawa. So kukalia kiti sawa. We have gone through that age. What we want is a working president. And I think President Uhuru, if you listen to him the other day, he has what it can take to turn this country around. In fact, if you look at like when we were doing the debate in, when we were doing the referendum in 2005, and all that, what just came to mess up, I think, was this thing that happened in 2007, messed up a lot of people. So let us go back and see that we are Kenyans, we have got this capacity, and whether we like it or not, the reality is that for the next 5 years, Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta is the president, and my very good friend William Ruto is the deputy. I did not follow Ruto to URP because when we met here and were deciding, we were very strong for devolution. The problem I opposed to TNA was because they are centrists. And let me tell you one thing, when I was attacked on the streets and I was hammered and I was lashed to matter, the first people who came to my bedside were two very senior TNA politicians. They even paid the admission fees.
You see that?
You see. So this and the man who saved me, he's called Eric, a taxi driver, he's a Kikuyu. So when you talk to me about Kikuyu, Luya, all this nonsense, I just get irritated. Let us make this country better for the individual, not for the tribe.
So like the president and the prime minister held hands after Westgate, which you're calling Eastgate, let me say, let's hold the hands together and let this president govern and stop fighting him every day. Mr. President, I've got Omtatah, he's on your side.
I don't
Gentlemen, I think you two are a ticket. You're a ticket, you know that. Opposites attract.
We don't fight the president,
Omtatah,
we support him.
thanks for your time.
And he's going to rule for 5 years.
Mr. Koinange,
Good to see you,
it was burning tonight.
Good to see you.
Okay.
And you guys chained each other tonight. You're chained. You're chained to the waist.
Call me back. I'll be back at the bench.
Wow. I need a drink. The debate continues. Okiya Omtatah, Tony Gachoka, finally, they at least agree on one thing. It's all about moving forward. The country is bigger than any individual. Let's face it. And the man has 5 years. Let's give the man his 5 years. The debate continues only on the bench, folks. You cannot find guests like Tony or Okiya Omtatah anywhere else, but right here on this bench above the city in the CBD, only on Kenya's television network, KTN. Thanks for joining us. Good night. Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye.